Hello, and thank you for all your patience. Haven't made a video for a very long time, and I still owe either the last chapter of the Time Machine still, but thought I'd give that a rest for a bit. Speak about something else that's close to my heart, Linux. This weekend I decided to try a different flavor for a change, see how I like it, see how they've upgraded it, and see how things worked. So I installed Ubuntu. Now I've tried Ubuntu in the past, and to be honest, I haven't been that impressed with it. And it had a lot of bugs that kept blowing up my sound system, which I wasn't too happy with. And I also had a lot of problems getting my wireless network to work with Ubuntu. But those were with older versions. I tried 7.10 Gutsy and tried actually Kubuntu because I'm not a GNOME fan. I'm a KDE fan. But I'm always willing to try things, so this weekend I tried out the KDE version and the GNOME version, and I was really impressed with Xubuntu using, I'm not sure how you really pronounce it, XFCE. I would say Xface, a very lightweight GUI. But it worked really well, and I was really impressed. I got my wireless working very quickly, able to upgrade the system, get the applications I wanted. I'm still not impressed with the base layout that Ubuntu puts on there. I had to go in there and tweak what packages I really wanted to make it look and feel more the way I like it to look. But other than that, I found some really neat features, and this is one of the good things about trying different flavors, is I've never gotten the buttons on my laptop to work properly. For instance, those volume up, volume down, mute, and multimedia buttons. And I found very quickly with Ubuntu a program called KeyTouch that once installed, I told it the closest that my system was. It's a very old system. It's a old HP Pavilion ZX5040, which I bought 5-6 years ago, I believe. And they didn't have a ZX 5000 series in the program, but they did have a ZV series, a ZV 5000 series, which close enough. And so I tried that out, and voila! I had buttons that I'd never had working in Linux working, and it was fabulous. But after playing with it for a while, I tried upgrading a few packages. I wanted to see how much could I tax the system and still have everything work. You know, let's make DVDs function. Let's be able to burn CDs. Let's make sure that we can rip audio. Let's make sure that video, audio, and all the other multimedia within the internet work properly. And what good is an operating system if none of that works properly? You know, that's what most people use their computers for anyway, besides glorified email machines. But I was very pleased to find that I was able to easily install all of those using their simple either Synaptics or their another apt-get manager, Adept, that was there, and was very easily able to configure everything that I wanted and liked. My only negative point to it was that I dislike Firefox. I don't know what it is about Firefox. I just don't like it. I'm a SeaMonkey fan, you know, and I love using SeaMonkey. So after looking around and finding out there's no packages, and I dare anybody to go out there and actually find an easy way to properly install SeaMonkey with Ubuntu, because I wasn't able to. I looked everywhere. I was able then to finally go to the SeaMonkey homepage through Mozilla, download their files, compile and set it up using their installation. And then I had to do some tweaking with Ubuntu to make it work. But let me ask you, what is it that's so fabulous about Firefox? I mean, it's the biggest, latest rage, and I don't understand it. Because Firefox isn't that robust to me. It's very flaky. It's very rough around the edges, and I just really prefer that Mozilla suite that used to be there that's no longer supported. SeaMonkey took over, and I've always stuck with SeaMonkey. Now, there are a few nice features that Firefox does have They've got a lot more support out there than SeaMonkey, and so there's a lot of neat plugins and devices that you can add to it. But I noticed that Ubuntu really caters to Firefox. And all of their plugins to make things work properly multimedia-wise worked great as long as I was willing to use Firefox. But that's okay. I was able to tweak things, point the directories to different locations, and still make it work, most of it anyway, with SeaMonkey, and turn it around so I could still use the browser of my choice. That's the one thing, Linux is supposed to be so user-friendly and all about choices that you can use anything you want. But I think the creators, or for whatever reason, have limited you with the use of only really being able to use Firefox without knowing how to make things work yourself. And that I'm not too happy with. But that's just a small beef. The other issue I had was I made the mistake of saying, hey, yeah, let's try KDE 4. Because KDE 4 is supposed to be coming out soon. And from everything I hear, it runs faster, it leaks less memory, it's less intrusive than the KDE 3 versions. And so I thought, hey, yeah, let's try this. So I tried installing it with Ubuntu, because that's one thing I was told, that there were packages for Gutsy for KDE 4. As soon as I did this, though, it broke my video, it broke the sound system. I started getting crashes with my sound as soon as I'd start, and that's really aggravating when you're trying something new and it constantly breaks. And when you don't know a flavor as well as maybe another one, it's even harder to figure out what went wrong. But during my research, what I found out is it's just a bug that Ubuntu has. And actually, that reminded me that the last time when I tried an older version of Ubuntu, I was running into that exact same problem over and over again, which is what got me disheartened with it the first time. Just throw it out the window and went on to use without it. But it has an issue with the KDE libs and the way that it's using the arts, music and audio devices instead of the much more popular, supported through the kernel ALSA devices. Now, someone who's a real big Ubuntu fan might listen to what I'm saying and say, this guy doesn't know diddly squat. And I don't claim to be an expert on Ubuntu. But just from a newbie standpoint of a different flavor, those sort of things kind of frustrated me. Now, if Ubuntu was my only choice, I may have been able to figure out the problems, gotten them resolved, and been okay. I only gave Ubuntu a weekend to try out, 2 or 3 days actually. I finally put back in my Gentoo version of my hard drive back in the system. And then that was the cool thing. Some of the really neat tweaks that I saw that Ubuntu had, I was then able to reincorporate into my Gentoo system, such as key touch. So now I've got those keys working wonderfully within Gentoo, which is awesome. I also found out, because I haven't done an upgrade on Game for a while, that Game doesn't exist. It's called Pigeon now. So I was able to upgrade my Gentoo box using Pigeon, which is it has a lot better look to it. It's less rough. It has a real polished kind of feel to it, so it's kind of nice to use too. And anyway, I've been rambling now for about 8.5 minutes, and I don't want to keep this too long, but I really enjoyed my change of scenery. Ubuntu is growing. It's a great beginner's operating system from what I could see, and the good thing is they really have done a good job with Kubuntu and the other versions. And I know the last time I tried it, I tried 3 different flavors about 6 months ago. I tried Ubuntu, Kubuntu, and actually one called Christian Ubuntu. And Christian Ubuntu is actually the most stable version of all the Ubuntus I tried back then. And it's kind of surprising, but it worked the best with the system, and you would think that they should have been uniform, but a lot of bugs in the Kubuntu and regular Ubuntu, GNOME version, and KDE. But either way, kind of lost my train of thought on those things about Ubuntu. But they've done a lot of process improvements, and I'm really impressed, like I said, with 7.10 Gutsy. They've done a lot. So if you're out there and you're thinking about trying a new flavor of Linux, or you've never tried a flavor of Linux, I would say that this might be a really good way to start with Ubuntu. And I know that there's some other subscribers out there in the YouTube world too that support Ubuntu and find it to be a very good version of Linux. So I just wanted to talk to you and let you know about my experience using that. And which brings me to my last topic of conversation, which is actually what got me started trying a couple different flavors out this weekend. And that is, I had someone talk about FreeBSD. You know, FreeBSD is another Unix style version, operating system, I should say, that's out there, very similar to Linux and all the rest. And it was made by Berkeley. I don't have all the facts right in front of me right now to be able to tell you most of it, but it's just another free operating system that's out there that you can use that gets you away from having to be forced into Microsoft. And I thought, well, I'd like to try that. So I downloaded the latest version of FreeBSD this weekend, and I downloaded even OpenBSD. And unfortunately, no matter what I did, at least on my laptop, I could not get FreeBSD to install whatsoever. Very frustrating. I would get to the screen to begin with it, and after I'd burn CDs, and as soon as it would get to the menu and I'd tell it what I wanted to do, it just freeze up my system and die. You know, I don't know very much about FreeBSD. I'm just now getting into it. I just thought it's fun to try different operating systems. It's fun to see how hard or how easy or what improvements they have. And you never know when you'll run into something that you really like. In fact, I'm very tempted to take my wife's machine, which runs Gentoo, and put another hard drive in it and let her try out Ubuntu for a while instead of Gentoo, because there's some features that were immediately available within Ubuntu, such as being able to suspend to the hard drive, hibernation. Those are some things that I'm working on making work with Gentoo, but immediately with Ubuntu, they worked flawlessly out of the box, out of the CD. Awesome features. So if you guys are interested in finding out more about Ubuntu or FreeBSD or Minix or something else, give me a call, send me a text, let me know, and I'll see what I can find out about it. But I'd give it a good rating, definitely, with Ubuntu. Anyway, I'm rambling too much. I don't want to keep this too long, so y'all have a good day. Oh, and I wore my Christmas shirt because it's getting so close to Christmas. And I'll have chapter something out soon for the Time Portal. And I hope y'all enjoy it. So until then, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.